You have been grabbing plant-based milk off the supermarket shelf your entire life without knowing that some of them barely contain the plant on the label. A carton that calls itself oat milk, almond milk, coconut milk, sitting there looking clean and minimal with soft colors and clever typography, quietly telling you that you are making a smarter, healthier choice. And maybe you are. But here is the thing. The truth about what is actually inside that carton is not on the front. It is on the back. And when you flip it around and actually read the label, what you find changes the story completely. There is a piece of education that unlocks everything on this list. In the UK, the Food Standards Agency only approves food additives where there is a genuine technological need, where they have been assessed as safe, and where they do not mislead consumers. But the rules say nothing about how much of the actual plant has to be in the drink, and manufacturers know that. So the most popular plant-based drinks on UK supermarket shelves follow a surprisingly consistent formula, mostly water, a small, sometimes shockingly small, percentage of the plant you think you are buying, and then a series of added ingredients: oils, stabilizers, emulsifiers, acidity regulators, ingredients that are there not to nourish you, but to engineer texture, extend shelf life, create foam in your coffee, and stop the whole thing from separating in the carton. Most shoppers never notice. We went through the most common plant-based drinks on UK shelves right now. 7 products you should look at more carefully before you buy, and 3 that genuinely keep it simpler. If you found this before buying your next carton, share it with someone who needs to see it. Drop a like if this kind of label investigation is what you are here for. And hit subscribe, because we do this every week and this one is just getting started. Number 1. Oatly Barista Edition. Let's start with the carton that arguably created the modern plant milk moment. Oatly Barista Edition. The product that turned oat milk into a cultural statement, the drink that went from niche health food shops to the menu board of every independent coffee shop in Britain. At Tesco, you're paying around £2.20 per litre for it. Turn it around and the ingredient list is short, but every item is doing a specific job. Water comes first, as it does in virtually all of these drinks. Then oats at 10%, then rapeseed oil, then an acidity regulator called potassium phosphate, then minerals, salt, and added vitamins. That's it. And if you're thinking, why is there oil in my oat drink? It's a fair question. The rapeseed oil is there for mouthfeel. It creates that creamy, slightly thick texture that makes it feel satisfying, and, crucially, it's what allows the drink to produce microfoam when you steam it. Without the oil, it wouldn't behave the way a barista needs it to. The dipotassium phosphate is there for a different reason. Coffee is highly acidic, and without an acidity regulator, plant drinks can curdle or split when they hit a hot espresso. The additive solves that problem, so when you pull it apart, Oatly Barista is an engineered coffee tool. It performs brilliantly at the job it was designed for. But nutritionally, it's not the same as dairy. Per 100 milliliters, it delivers 61 calories, 3.0 grams of fat, 7.1 grams of carbohydrate, with 3.4 grams of those being natural sugars from the oats, and just 1.1 grams of protein. Compare that to Tesco's own semi-skimmed dairy milk, which comes in at 50 calories and 3.6 grams of protein per 100 milliliters. The protein gap is real, and it matters if you're switching out dairy as a genuine nutritional substitute rather than just a coffee preference. There's also a regulatory and recall history worth knowing. In February 2026, UK courts restricted Oatly from using milk language in its marketing, reinforcing the legal reality that these are drinks, not dairy. And further back in 2019, a Food Standards Agency product recall was issued for an Oatly oat drink sold at Tesco, after it was found to potentially contain metal pieces. Product recalls happen across the food industry. They're not unique to plant drinks, but they're part of the full picture when you're assessing a brand. Oatly Barista is a genuinely clever product. Just don't assume barista means healthier. Number 2. Rice milk. The one that gets recommended to people with multiple allergies, often because it's one of the few plant drinks that avoids the most common allergens. No nuts, no soya, no oats. It sounds simple. Gentle even. But when you look at the label data, the picture is more complicated than the calm, clean branding suggests. Take Rude Health Organic Brown Rice Drink, available at Tesco. The ingredient list is straightforward enough on the surface. Spring water, 17% organic brown rice, cold-pressed sunflower oil and sea salt. But look at the nutrition panel, and the first thing that stands out is the carbohydrate load. Per 100 milliliters, 64 calories, 13 grams of carbohydrate, 5 grams of sugar, and less than 0.5 grams of protein. Rice drinks are structurally high in carbs and low in protein, and that's not a formulation decision. It's just what rice is. It's a grain, not a legume. If you're reaching for this as a nutritional substitute for dairy, it won't come close. For comparison, you can also find Alpro rice on Tesco's shelves at around £1.40 per litre, though it was out of stock at the time of checking. And rice drinks in general often use stabilizers like gel gum to stop separation and improve texture, because the low fat and low protein content of rice means the drink doesn't naturally hold together the way dairy does. That stabilizer use is again in line with FSA guidelines, but it does reinforce the point. These aren't naturally milk-like liquids. They're engineered to behave like one. The Food Standards Agency has a long-standing guidance warning against giving rice drinks to young children because rice can contain higher levels of arsenic than other grains, a naturally occurring contaminant that accumulates more in rice crops. That's not a fringe concern. It's official UK health guidance. Rude Health's organic rice drink is also priced like a premium product, around £2.30 per litre at Tesco, sometimes with club card promotions, which makes the low nutritional density even harder to justify. Rice drinks aren't dangerous for healthy adults in normal amounts, but for families especially, the official cautions exist for a reason, and the nutritional trade-off is hard to ignore. Number 3. Alpro Oat. Alpro is one of the biggest names in the plant-based aisle. At Tesco, a 500 milliliter carton is £1.20. That's £2.40 per litre. And it's the sort of everyday price that makes it feel unremarkable. But flip it over. The ingredient list reads: oat base at 9.8%, soluble corn fibre, sunflower oil, tricalcium phosphate, sea salt, gel gum, and added vitamins. Each of these ingredients is doing something deliberate. The sunflower oil, like the rapeseed oil in Oatly, is there for creaminess and texture. The tricalcium phosphate provides calcium fortification, which is actually a point in this product's favour, since calcium is one of the main nutrients people risk losing when they switch away from dairy. The gel gum is a stabilizer that prevents separation and ensures every pour from the carton looks and feels the same. All of that is standard, FSA-compliant food technology. But the ingredient that's doing the most interesting quiet work here is soluble corn fibre. It's included to boost the fibre content of the drink without increasing the actual percentage of oats, which stays at just under 10%. It's nutrition tuning using an isolated ingredient, not nutrition that comes naturally from the plant on the front of the carton. And then there's the overall nutrition panel, where the real story lives. Per 100 milliliters, 44 calories, 6.5 grams of carbohydrate, 2.6 grams of sugar, 1.9 grams of fiber, and just 0.4 grams of protein. Number 4. Almond Breeze. Original sweetened. Almond milk has a particular image problem that this product illustrates perfectly. People reach for it, imagining something close to nature. Almonds, water, maybe a pinch of salt, something light and wholesome. The reality, at least with the sweetened Almond Breeze Original available at Tesco for around £1.50 per litre, is quite different. Read the ingredients: spring water, raw cane sugar, almonds at just 2%, calcium carbonate, sea salt, emulsifier sunflower lecithin, stabilizer gel gum, added vitamins. There it is, 2% almonds. The ingredient that names the product, the thing the brand is built around, accounts for 2 parts in every 100 of what's in the carton. The rest is water, sugar, and a series of additives designed to make the whole thing feel, look, and behave the way consumers expect almond milk to behave. Let's take the emulsifier sunflower lecithin, because it's the kind of ingredient that makes people nervous when they Google it. In practice, it's a fairly benign food technology tool. Its job is to help fat and water mix together. Without it, the tiny amount of almond fat in this drink would separate and rise to the top, leaving the carton looking split and unappetizing. The gel gum performs the same kind of work, providing viscosity and a consistent pour. The FSA's position is that additives like these are only permitted where there's a genuine technological need. And here, there absolutely is one, because there isn't enough natural fat or protein in a 2% almond drink to give it any structure at all. But that leads directly to the nutrition concern. Per 100 milliliters, Almond Breeze Original contains 24 calories, 2.8 grams of sugar and less than 0.5 grams of protein. The sugar isn't catastrophic in small quantities, but the NHS advises adults to limit free sugars to no more than 30 grams per day. Number 5. Minor Figures. Minor Figures has built one of the most effective pieces of coffee culture branding in the plant milk space. The ingredient list is short: water, oats at 11%, rapeseed oil, tricalcium phosphate, dipotassium phosphate, and salt. 6 ingredients. Compared to some products in this category, this one actually looks reasonably clean. But understanding what each one does reveals a product that is entirely engineered around coffee performance rather than nutritional density. The rapeseed oil creates the creamy texture and supports the microfoam that baristas depend on. The tricalcium phosphate adds calcium. The dipotassium phosphate is an acidity regulator, protecting the drink from curdling when it hits hot espresso. In a blind taste test context, one reviewer described the product as smooth but noted a slightly artificial aftertaste, a characteristic that surfaces in some oat drinks where the fat and acidity regulator combination creates a lingering mouthfeel that isn't quite natural. There's also a corporate dimension. In 2022, Minor Figures announced minority investment from Danone Manifesto Ventures and Green Monday Group. Not a full acquisition, but a signal that major food industry capital has taken notice of the category and is positioning itself within it. Minor Figures remains one of the better performing barista products, but at over £2 a litre, you're primarily paying for coffee engineering and brand identity, not nutritional value. Number 6. Alpro Soya. Of all the plant drinks in this investigation, soya is the one that genuinely closes the gap with dairy on nutrition, and that's worth acknowledging up front. Soya beans are protein-rich in a way that oats, almonds, rice, and coconut simply aren't, which makes Alpro Soya's original, sweetened format something of a missed opportunity. At Tesco, the chilled version is £1.80 per litre. The ingredient list opens promisingly: a soya base, but then comes added sugar, acidity regulators in the form of potassium phosphates, flavouring, and the familiar gel and gum stabilizer, plus minerals and vitamins. And crucially, this is the sweetened version. The addition of sugar is a deliberate formulation choice, and in the context of NHS guidance to choose lower sugar dairy alternatives when making a regular switch, it's a choice worth questioning. The protein content is where Alpro Soya earns its nutritional credibility: 3.0 grams per 100 millilitres. That's much closer to dairy's 3.6 grams than anything else in this investigation so far. The added vitamins and minerals help too. But then you factor in the sugar, around 2.5 grams per 100 milliliters in typical original versions. In one taste test, a reviewer described Alpro Soya chilled as sweet with an off-putting artificial aroma, which speaks to how noticeable the added ingredients can be when you're paying attention. The takeaway on Alpro Soya isn't that you should avoid it. The protein profile makes it genuinely the closest nutritional substitute in the plant aisle. But if you're making the switch to soya as a dairy alternative, seek out the unsweetened version, rather than assuming this one is automatically the smart choice. Number 7. Cocoa Dairy. Free Original Plus Calcium is the product often recommended to people who need something suitable across multiple dietary restrictions. It's positioned as allergy-friendly, dairy-free, and accessible. At Tesco, it was £1.70 per litre, though out of stock at the time of checking, and it looks like a comforting, safe choice, until you read the label. The ingredient list: water, coconut milk at 11%, concentrated apple juice, tricalcium phosphate, sucrose esters of fatty acids, guar gum, gellan gum, sea salt, vitamins D2 and B12, and carotene for color. That's a longer and more complex list than most people expect from a product marketed on simplicity and allergy friendliness. Let's take 2 of those ingredients. Sucrose esters of fatty acids is an emulsifier. It performs the same structural role as lecithin in other drinks, stopping the fat and water from separating. Guar gum and gellan gum together handle viscosity and texture stability. These are all permitted FSA additives with legitimate technological functions, but they add up to a picture of a highly processed drink. The concentrated apple juice is particularly interesting. It's there for sweetness, but because it's listed as apple juice rather than sugar, it might not trigger the same alarm bells for shoppers scanning for added sugars. Nutritionally, however, the panel still counts the resulting sweetness under total sugars. And on the nutrition side, the saturated fat content stands out, 2.3 grams per 100 milliliters. That's a direct consequence of the coconut milk content. The NHS guidance sets daily saturated fat limits at 30 grams for men and 20 grams for women, which means a larger serving of coconut drink can represent a meaningful portion of your daily allowance. Cocoa does provide calcium, vitamin D2, and B12, which matters for anyone making a long-term dairy switch. Now let's talk about the other side of the shelf. 3 products that take a genuinely different approach. Fewer ingredients, less processing, and a label that doesn't require a chemistry degree to understand. First, Plenish Organic Almond. Available at Waitrose, it was priced at £2 per litre at the time of capture. A promotional price down from £2.45. The ingredient list is almost startlingly short. Spring water, organic almonds at 4%, and sea salt. That's it. No oils, no stabilizers, no natural flavorings in quotation marks, no soluble corn fiber quietly lifting the nutrition numbers. 4% almonds, double what you'll find in Almond Breeze Original, with nothing added to engineer it into something it isn't. The nutrition follows. 26 calories per 100 milliliters, 0.2 grams of sugar, and 0.9 grams of protein. It's not a dairy replacement on protein terms, but it's not pretending to be. The trade-offs are real and worth stating clearly. Without stabilizers, this drink separates. You shake it before you pour. It won't microfoam the way a barista blend does. And crucially, as the NHS specifically flags in its guidance on dairy alternatives, organic plant drinks often do not have calcium added. If Plenish is your main milk substitute, you need to get calcium from elsewhere. But the product in the carton remains, for now, one of the cleanest almond drinks on a mainstream UK supermarket shelf. The second cleaner option is Califia Farms Organic Almond Unsweetened, available at Waitrose in a 750 milliliter bottle for £2.30, working out to roughly £3.07 per litre, which puts it at the premium end. But the ingredient list justifies the look. Water, organic almonds at 4%, sea salt. 3 ingredients. The same stripped-back philosophy as Plenish, with the same nutritional profile. 23 calories per 100 milliliters, very low sugars, 0.9 grams of protein, and the same honest trade-off on calcium fortification. What distinguishes Califia in the broader conversation is independent taste testing. In The Guardian's Plant Milk Review, Califia's organic oat barista blend was ranked top for both flavor and coffee performance, and the reviewer explicitly praised it for its lack of gums and stabilizers. The almond version carries the same design ethos. The goal is to make a drink from organic almonds and water, not to engineer a dairy simulation. If you're buying this product, you're buying simplicity and organic sourcing, not performance chemistry. It's worth understanding what you're paying for. And in this case, what you're paying for is something closer to almonds and water than most of what's on the shelf beside it. And then there's the one with perhaps the cleanest label of all. Rude Health Almond Pure Organic. At Waitrose, £2.50 per litre. The ingredient list: water, organic almonds at 5%. That is it. 2 ingredients. No salt, no stabilizers, no oils. Nothing else. The nutrition sits at 33 calories per 100 milliliters, 1.3 grams of protein, slightly higher than the other 2 minimal ingredient almond drinks, and 0.0 grams of sugar on the panel. It separates without stabilizers, so you shake it. It won't perform in a steam wand. And without calcium fortification, it's not a drop-in replacement for dairy from a bone health perspective. But if your benchmark for a better choice is plants and water, nothing engineered, this is one of the clearest examples you'll find on a mainstream UK supermarket page. So here is what this investigation tells us. Plant-based is not automatically healthier. Barista means coffee engineering, not nutrition. Almond milk can legally be 2% almonds. Coconut milk can carry more saturated fat than you expect. The brands are clever, but the ingredient list does not lie, and most people never read it. If this opened your eyes, hit like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to see it. And drop a comment. What supermarket product should we investigate next?